you better have a poll. And crypto possession is 100% of the law. Whoever has the video owns it.
Not that money. Stop. Gone got what? Just got hires the people so that they can go and license it. It's in the money.
It's somewhere in the Orient by now. It's gone. What a crazy deal.
That's too bad. I mean, what do you say? In most sites of states, you say to I have no idea what I can do.
Well, what do you do?
And they will want to alternative information. And even if I was, I'm just not adept enough on computers or this type of such.
You're never gonna chase that down. That's why you should go to Fairway.
In the morning, say, okay, I'm here on my own.
But when you buy it at Fairway, you put in your email, the email that you're sending it to, or the phone number you're sending it to. It ain't gonna work, goes, because it's sorry. When Bitcoin first
Right, that's what I had. I hadn't watched news.
now everything, when you buy Bitcoin, you buy a piece of Bitcoin, that's a straight loads of shares. 30, that's your number.
Usually.
You can still buy the coin. Last time I see the coin sale, not really knows it was like 12 of them sold them. This person sold out of like 2,000. Cause I have to know somebody bought 3 of them. There's not that many in the marketplace, they're clusters like.
I think I went through it one line without ever using Bitcoin.
I'm gonna send you something just so you have it. I got it. I don't know what it's. 3 years ago, I got it. Just to show the students what it is. And then I threw it in my desk. So I've got this. Dude, I was like, let's be honest here. You don't even know about it. They're part of the same county because they get it.
How are you?
Got my pen.
All right.
Education.
I had it last night. They were like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's special.
Likewise.
That's funny. That's enough. Yeah, that's funny. Oops. Good. Nothing weird happened in here. Sports coming tonight? Or no?
What snow guy, so you get a hold of you, just go.
Well, who are you?
Yeah, right, everything's good to go there. He coming to us, I told him,
There's nothing on the storage shed. That's why it's nice, so it's shut up.
I did too.
Looks like it's in yeah.
Are you ready?
Good evening. The time is 6 p.m. I will call to order the Tuesday, February 24th meeting of the Huxley City Council. Roll call, please.
Murphy,
Here.
Mulder,
Here.
Rigler,
Here.
Etcher,
Here.
Roberts. Here.
Thank you. And we are streaming live on YouTube this evening. Hit a motion to approve the agenda.
I give you a motion.
Motion Mulder,
I'll offer a second.
second Rigler. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now is the time in the agenda for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak this evening on any agenda or non-agenda items is certainly welcome to do so. We do ask that you limit your time to 5 minutes. And also, as I tend to forget to remind people, it's a one-way conversation. So it's an opportunity for the public to let the council know what their thoughts or concerns are. And certainly council will hear those, but it's not a question and answer type period. So with that, I would open up the public comments portion. And just ask that you start with your name and address, please.
David, I represent Palestine Lutheran Church. Highway is 210 and 560th Street. We have a prepared letter. I realize the council had it already. I made a few slight edits to it. So that way you have a fresh copy. So as I said, I'm representing Palestine Lutheran Church. I'm the president of the church council. Myself and Brad Lewis are the contact people for this project. So I'd like to read the letter so we have it on record. We're writing you to open dialogue in regards to change that are going to be happening in the near future along Highway 210 and 560th Street. We, myself and Brad Lewis, represent Palestine Lutheran Church as president of the church and as the head of the finance committee and both members of the church council respectively. We will serve as points of contact regarding further communication regarding the church's involvement with proposed highway roundabout construction. From the standpoint of growth and modernization, this is a great thing for Huxley, but we do see some complication and harm that will be caused to the Palestine church. The church understands progress is going to happen. We want to support the city, but do feel we also don't want to be harmed long-term from the actions that will benefit the development around us. We would like to address the following concerns in the early stages of the process. First off, let us be clear that about the church's involvement. Palestine Lutheran Church owns 3 of the 4 corners on the intersection of County Road 560th and State Highway 210. The church building itself, the cemetery, and the church parsonage. The church has been on the northwest corner of the intersection of County Road 560th and State Highway 210 since 1855. The first church was built 171 years ago. The sign in the front of the church was built around 1926. It has been entered in the historical registry. When the church burned down in 1957, the sign was the only remaining symbol of our church. The sign represents not only a keepsake from the founding members that trekked here from Norway, Many of those descendants, families still are lifelong members and carrying on the tradition of their forefathers. The cemetery contains the graves of hundreds of former members and contains headstones dating back to 1855. Several of those graves are veterans from the Civil War. Due to the most recent construction of the Highway 210 bridge over the interstate and potential new construction adjacent to the cemetery, upkeep to keep the headstones in good fashion has and will be difficult. We have recently added paved roads and state-approved entrances to the cemetery with beautiful arches at the entrance. The legacies of the church history in this area are so sentimental that many, prisoners, the thought of disrupting the cemetery has caused considerable undue stress. The parsonage on the northeast corner of the previous mentioned intersection, the land for the parsonage was donated in 1956, and the house was constructed with funds donated by many individuals that are still members of the church today. Many of our previous pastors have raised their families in that house. The church has involved in the last several years over $70,000 refurbished to be a younger family-friendly home. The prevailing thought for the future is that in order to attract young pastors to serve Palestine, we will need a home like this one that we have to offer. This is one area of concern that we feel could be hurt most by the potential development of the development presented recently. Here are our concerns about installing a roundabout, moving traffic, and creating many new traffic patterns to accommodate the development on the southeast corner of the intersection. The church is going to be affected, harmed, and be asked to give up value in the name of progress. We'd like to minimize that as much as possible. We are a rural church with traditional values. This is our appeal, mission, and foundation. All the land involved in the proposed development and the surrounding land for future development for nearly half a mile is owned by parishioners from our church. This fact will complicate relations with one another on the forefront and is on the forefront of our minds when we consider the health of the church. We lower our concern. Loss of use of the parsonage. The road is going to encroach on the front yard very nearly to the living room of the parsonage. Semi-trucks and automobiles will be looking directly into the front windows as they maneuver through the proposed roundabout in its current planned position. Privacy and safety for our children in the front of the yard will present a huge problem. Parsonage family having to back out on Highway 210 will create a dangerous driveway. These issues hurt or harm the value of our parsonage in a dramatic way. Moving of the historic church sign. The movement of this historic sign will have a large impact on the history of our church. There are great concerns not only with the physical process of moving the sign, but also the historical significance of the current placement of the sign. We are not even sure how to quantify this issue. Loss of parking. The church will lose 16 parking spots along 560th under the proposed roundabout location. This will translate to about 48 people every Sunday losing parking spots. That is a problem, particularly with our elderly and couples with young children. Safety issues. We understand the roundabouts create safer overall accident counts. The issue where the accidents happen with the roundabout puts any accident leaving the roadway. This will put an accident in the front yard of the church, the parsonage, and the cemetery. Presently, these accidents would be in ditches, which serve as a nice buffer. But the roundabout, this would be a problem. Increased traffic presents all kinds of its own problems, pollution, environmental issues, vehicle breakdowns, noise, fumes, etc. Has there been an impact study on the overall development, not just on the storage project? Page 3, pedestrian crossing to the parking area and the parsonage on 560th will become way less safe. Pedestrian crossing to the cemetery across Highway 210 seem to be unattainable, as there will always be a vehicle flow without stoplights, signs, etc. Protection of the cemetery during the construction. This is a huge concern for us. Just with the bridge and I'll just add this from the letter. Just when the bridge was being constructed, all that traffic going up and down that gravel road really added a lot of dust to the existing headstones that are there. Those are a list of concerns. We do have a few ideas for solution. Move the roundabout more to the east to stay away from the church and the historical sign. Move the parsonage to existing church property to the north of its current location. Create a parking lot where the parsonage currently is located and eliminate the driveway up on Highway 210. Create crosswalks with stoplights, enforce no engine braking zone, speed limit at 15 miles an hour, dust control measures for the cemetery, sidewalks all the way around the roundabout connecting to the parsonage cemetery and the church. Street lighting all the way around the roundabout, lighting at the cemetery entrances, church entrances, and the parsonage. Establishment of future entrances to the cemetery and church. These are some of the ideas we have and to help try and work with the city of Huxley and the IODOT as we go through this exciting growth. Please involve us as much as possible in future meetings, site plan, infrastructure updates, etc. We want to be an active participant in this area as it is part to our 1027 parsonage membership. We want to be able to provide the best overall experience in services, funerals, weddings, gatherings, baptisms, and any other kind of service. We want them to be safe, comfortable, and enjoyable. We want to provide a home, a destination, and a foundation for our pastor, the Southeast Iowa Synod, and the ELCA Church of large. We have done this for 171 years and will continue to do that. If you want to cooperate with the city of Huxley with the progress, please reach out to us and let us know how we can address the above concerns. And if you want more detail on our ideas. And on the back side of page 4, I have included a picture of where the proposed roundabout would be as the development is right now. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eisenman. Is there anybody else from the public wishing to speak this evening on any agenda or non-agenda items? Seeing no one rise, we will move along. Item 4.1 this evening. The time is 6:11. I will open the public hearing on the plans, specs, and proposed form of contract and the estimate of cost for the North Second Avenue Water Main Replacement Project. Is there anybody here this evening wishing to speak on the public hearing for the North Second Avenue Water Main Project? Now would be your opportunity. This is a public hearing. Anything to add on this public hearing?
No, I would just add that we do have 2 representatives from ISG this evening that could answer any questions. We did have the bid letting last week. It was on Thursday, so it was a little late to get the award for approval tonight. We're still waiting on some reference checks. We hope to have the resolution to award the contract at the next meeting and
I can fill in, Lenny Larson with, ISG, I'm the, engineer of record for this project. Spring Lake was the apparent motive on it. We talked with them, they sent us an email late this afternoon, just clarifying or asking what exactly we were wanting, because I happened to get a hold of them as the board plane, last Thursday afternoon. So, I expect this week we'll get the reference list and the subcontractors that they have.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't even notice. But I expect to get their subcontractor list and their references later this week, and then we'll be able to evaluate and get that recommendation letter sent over to the city after that is done. So at this time, we're still waiting to get back some more information before we make that recommendation.
Okay, appreciate those comments. Mr. Pete.
Good.
Yep, I don't want to cut you. Give me just a second though. I'm going to close the public hearing, Jeff, and then we'll discuss that in the next item. So don't go too far. Seeing no one else rise to be heard on the public hearing portion of this, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll offer a motion.
Motion, Mr. Wheeler,
Second.
second, Mr. Etcher. Any further conversation? Roll call, please.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts. Yes. Murphy,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Okay, moving along. Need a motion to approve resolution 26015, adopting the plans, specs, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the North Second Avenue water main replacement project. Need a motion.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion, Mr. Mulder.
I'll make a second.
Second, Ms. Roberts. Mr. Peterson. Yes, sir.
If you guys recall, we were at a meeting for session, we discussed that we were just gonna stop short of that. Because the elevation and how close. Okay, that the, right, we didn't have a lot of right of way, so it's gonna be really difficult to get those elevations there. We explained that in our public forum. People asked about that. We told them what was gonna happen. It seemed like that was favorable, and that's what we kind of went with. So if you had any questions on that, I think we explained to council before. You guys were aware of that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. That's what the intention is, and that's what the design is going to be, is it's going to stop right short and the crossing is going to be in front. Then you go back the other way. So
The sidewalk goes up to the south
Right.
end of the bulb,
yeah,
just not
before the
around
bulb,
it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
before the bulb, and then there'll be a crossing. So
I believe the comments I heard from members of the public at the last meeting was that they did not want any sidewalk on that cul-de-sac. Is that what I was hearing, or am I misunderstanding that? Or,
we we told most people there wasn't gonna be a sidewalk in there. I'm not sure if they wanted a sidewalk there. The biggest thing we talked about with the public was the middle area with the grass and taking that out. That was the big thing with those people that lived in there. And out of everybody, that I surveyed, everybody was good about taking it out except one citizen wanted to see it remain. So then we asked you as a council if you wanted to see that gone, and we decided that was the best thing for everybody, just to remove that and pave it all up. So, yep.
appreciate that information. Council, what questions do you have?
So do we know, I went up there a couple different times. Do we know, are we gonna run sidewalks on both sides? Going to the school, so where the brick garage is for Thompson's property?
Getting easements from those people, so I've been working with those people. So once I get all the data I'm trying to get, where there's a corner on that second on that north kind of northwest corner is kind of difficult. We're trying to kind of clean that up to get the actual right of way.
Okay,
Their survey's been looking into it. It's just kind of not making real sense. We're just trying to figure out how much we actually need, and what actually is there, because I've been working with the county. And, with those people, and they're just like, well, nothing's real clear on that corner, so we just want to clean that up. So we're gonna purchase that right away a little bit more, just so we can clean that up to make sure that we get the street definitely and the sidewalk on city right away. So
sure. The reason I ask is it will make more sense to me one way or another if we do incorporate that or if we don't. If that's gonna be blank, then it doesn't make sense to me to put the sidewalk down both sides, but if it is gonna connect, then it does. And then you're just missing the section around where the duplex is and around Davenport's just connecting the whole thing, so.
yeah, I got three are favorable, helping out. They're gonna do something. And then there's one I still that's kind of on the fence. It's a little thinking about, so I'm still waiting to talk to her, set her down, and go through it all, but she's
Okay.
supposed to be calling me back, so, yeah.
Thanks.
And if you guys got anything for Lenny, and that's what they're here for. I got both him and Cameron Carroll here from ISG, so.
Council, is the general direction then to proceed as the construction documents indicated, or is there a chance that you might change course and not put sidewalks somewhere?
I guess my concern was the same thing as Tracy. If I'm following you right, was that if it wasn't gonna connect with,
It's Thompson property,
Yeah.
or it used to be Nursey's house, sorry.
right,
Right, but
almost.
so it comes up around and goes straight down, it makes sense to connect it. If it's not going to, and it. But
So probably the biggest thing we're working with is part of the easement is either getting a sidewalk easement or getting more right of way, because
We only got about a couple feet there, so to get a 5-foot sidewalk in there, this is the biggest discussion with the property owners was trying to get at least in there 6 or 7 foot. So we can keep it back a little bit, have a grass buffer, so every time it snows, they don't have to go out there and try to clean their sidewalks. So that's the biggest discussion is where we want to put that, where do they want it? We'll put it up against the curb if they want, but I'd just like to tell people it's not a good thing when you get just a dusting of snow and the snow plows coming. You're gonna be out there cleaning that every time. So that's the whole conversation with those property owners. Nurse's Corner, like you're suggesting, that's a tight one. It's gonna be right up between the building and the curb. It's gonna be a 4 foot there. That's all we can get. But once we get back out of that, we'll go back to 5 foot and we can bring it back out depending on how much, easement she wants to give us. So.
So, yeah, that sidewalk plan you're supporting, putting that sidewalk on no second, otherwise I would not. I agree.
Yeah, well, I guess, Jeff, if things change and we don't end up with sidewalk on both sides of, what street is that? The east-west street, Fifth. Then I guess please come back to council and we'll have that conversation.
I'll
So,
guarantee you, I'll be good on the south side for sure. The north side is the one.
yeah, the north
One
is
property owners, yeah, we're gonna make it work, but like I said, the property owner, I'm just trying to get that conversation started, that we can sit down and go over this, so.
Yeah,
But,
well,
yeah.
it doesn't have, to. Please come back to discuss.
Yep, we'll do that. You bet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay.
At the next meeting, we'll have the award letter, and then after that, we'll work on getting the contracts prepared. And even if it's part of the contract at that time, we can always remove it out of the project afterwards. So we got some time yet.
appreciate your comments. With that, I've got a motion by Mulder and a second by Roberts. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts. Yes. Murphy,
Yes.
Okay, moving along, we've got the consent agenda, which are regular items. It does include hiring a new auditor for the next 3 years and also setting a public hearing on the public tax levy rate. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
part of the motion we can still discuss, right? Motion.
Certainly can.
Yep.
Motion by Roberts,
I'll give it a second.
second by Mr. Mulder. Discussion.
So do we always do a 3-year contract with it? We always have an auditor come in, so,
3-year standard on the audit.
okay, so it's just time to renew. That was the only,
And actually, it's the same auditor we've worked with since I've been here. I think they've just changed some personnel and the company was bought out by some existing employees is why you probably see a different name. But I think this is the name that was on this year's audit.
Yes,
So,
yes, they've been under this name for the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
thanks. I just know it's difficult if you have to start over with a new one, so I'm glad to hear it's the same. And the second one, I'm not worried about. It's just the setting the public hearing for the proposed property tax levy. It's not a decision, it's just a hearing, so thanks.
Okay. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Moving along this evening, item 6.1, need a motion to approve ordinance number 556. It's an ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Huxley, Iowa by rezoning property owned by Merle Brendelin, Janice Brendelin, and Megan Russell from A1 to R5. This would be the third and final reading. Need a motion on this.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Etcher.
Second.
Second, Mulder. Again, as I stated, this is the third and final reading. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Okay, moving along this evening. In a motion to approve resolution number 26019, it's a resolution approving a plat of survey for tract A, parcel D, and parcel E of the southwest quarter of northwest quarter section 31, township 82N, range 23W in Huxley, Story County, Iowa. Need a motion.
Give me a motion.
Motion Mulder,
Second.
second by Murphy. David, can you give us an overview on this,
yep,
please?
I certainly can. As part of the So with the rezone being completed, you're aware that we received the RISE grant to pave 560th and the East-West Road. This tract A is the right-of-way that will be used to put in the East-West Road. There's an 80-foot right-of-way on what would be the south boundary of that section of Mr. Brendalin's Century Farm. Tract D remains with the family, which is part of the Century Farm. Tract E is the area that is just outside of the right of way where the lift station and the booster pump station, which we're applying for the EDA grant to put those in, as well as the water and sewer, would be located. I mean, it's been through P and Z. It was approved. Forrest is on the line. He's traveling through the Rockies, but he is on the phone if you've got any specific questions. But before you vote, I just want to take a moment to thank Mr. Brendelin. He's here. He's in the Iowa State cap sitting there. That's Merle Brendelin. I want to thank him and his family. This has been a very long process, and I think as a city, we truly appreciate them working with us. I know Dylan has played a part. Todd Malang, who's represented the family, has been very instrumental in working, but it's really the Brendelin family that has kind of made this a reality. This is going to be a project with this happening. It's a company that's going to provide good paying jobs. Not every kid's going to go to college. Hopefully some of, those jobs will be picked up by some of our kids that graduate and want to get into that line of work someday. Also, I think it's going to provide a tax base and there's a chance for future growth in that corridor, whether it's on the Brendelin farm or potentially other farm grounds in that area. We'll have the roads in place, we'll have utilities in place, but I really do want to take a moment just to thank Mr. Brendelin and his family. It's been a long process and we're getting real close to crossing that part of the finish line. And I know Dylan's been very instrumental with the Alliance as well. So I just want to thank everybody for their due diligence, their patience, and just kind of working through all the issues and hopefully getting this thing wrapped up.
I appreciate those comments, David. And on behalf of council, Mr. Brendelin, I'd like to thank you for allowing Huxley to continue to grow and partnering with the city in that process. So it's much appreciated. So thank you, sir. Any additional comments from council before I ask for a roll call? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mulder,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Okay, moving along this evening, we are down to item 6.3. It's a resolution, looking to approve resolution number 26020. It's a resolution extending a moratorium on the issuance of building permits for shipping containers within Huxley. Need a motion on this.
I'll give you a motion for discussion.
Okay, motion from Ms. Roberts.
Second.
And a second from Mr. Etcher. And again, this is not changing the rules at this point. This is extending a moratorium. So, Ms. Roberts.
Yeah, and the purpose of the extension is to give P and Z more time for write-up or-
Actually, so as you recall, we put this moratorium in place at the end of November and it actually expires tomorrow. P and Z took the shipping container up with a discussion. We gave them a number of ordinances we had from other communities. They looked at that in January. They gave some direction to our city attorney, Erin Clanton. She prepared an ordinance which they looked at, made some modifications at their February meeting, and that ordinance is on for discussion tonight in the work session to get council's input as to whether they like it, they see things that they want to tweak. And if this moves forward and it goes through 3 separate readings, that's why we need the extension of the moratorium. So.
So yeah, as David indicated, item 8.2, we'll discuss this more in depth, the proposed change. So any other comments regarding the extension of the moratorium? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Moving along this evening, department, council, and mayor reports. Dylan, anything? Mike? Nothing? Anybody in the back row? Nothing? Aaron? Barb?
This is your last reminder that next Wednesday will be Local Leaders Day, sponsored by the Iowa League of Cities. We'll start out with a couple of sessions in the morning and then head to the Capitol to meet with legislators in the afternoon. If anyone would like to go, let me know and I will get you registered.
Other than the report that was provided, we're looking at next Tuesday, March 3rd for our first budget work session. Sans the tax levy one we had last week. Thought is to probably look at public safety next week. And I do know that there was some discussion about spring break. We've got some folks that'll be gone. So looking at 6 o'clock, if you'd like, on the 3rd. And then didn't know if you wanted to meet, set something up the week of the 9th, maybe that Thursday night. Or we could, if the agenda's light on the 10th, we could squeak something in at the end rather than a work session. Just wanted to get some options for you all to consider.
I would prefer the 10th after we can keep the meeting short.
So skip the 3rd.
No. In lieu of have it on Thursday. Oh, another additional time. Okay. So the third, but he's talking about the 10th.
The 3rd would be our first one. And then I was looking like for the following week, since we've got the fall or the next week is spring break and we probably won't have an opportunity to meet. I wanted to get a second one in prior to that. So I was looking either the 10th or the 12th.
I would prefer the 10th over the 12th.
Okay.
Not sure if I'm not traveling on the 12th.
I'm either or on the 10th or the 12th. I'm unavailable the 3rd.
We'll be here the 3rd. Okay.
Be back the 4th, but unavailable the 3rd.
Okay.
Anybody else have a conflict on the 3rd?
I did, they do on the 10th.
I think with all due respect to Mr. Mulder and Mr. Rigler, will probably still proceed forward. We'll have 4 council members, be a good representation, and obviously you can follow along on YouTube and follow up with questions. So if that's all right with you two, it won't be
The second one's on the 10th.
the 10th. Yep. And those will both be at 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
Okay. No problem here.
okay.
So just so we are prepared, the 3rd will be public safety and the 10th is, do you know? Yeah, just let us know.
So I think we'll see how far we get with, I would hope that we can get through all of public safety on the 3rd. And if so, then I should be able to tell you at the end of that evening what I think we'd be looking at the 10th.
Thanks.
Monday tonight.
That concludes our regular business for this evening. We do have a work session planned this evening with 3 items. Item 8.1 is the financial advisor presentation. Nathan Summers with UMB. Sir.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Yeah, Nate Summers with UMB, Public Finance Group out of
Nate,
West Point.
is the microphone on?
It's green. Does that mean it's on? All right. Okay. Mr. Hoagland asked me to come and speak a little bit about the services that the UMB provides. I think the services that we provide will be pretty similar to what the city is used to seeing from a firm such as ourselves. In public finance, of course, we help provide guidance to the city in financing capital projects, as well as financial planning for future projects. So I've got a handout here that is just a one-page marketing slick that outlines some of the consultant services that we provide. Do a lot of multi-year financial planning, debt modeling, and that includes pay-as-you-go type projects, factoring in cash and other revenues the city has available to it to achieve its plans and objectives. We do TIF modeling and capital improvement plan, financial assessments and plans. You can see, just the menu of things that we provide there, typically speaking. I've included on the right-hand side a couple of just sample items. The first one is just a blank, what I call our debt model or our planning model. Outlines on the first page there, you can see the valuation trend of a city, outlining the debt limit. Over on the right-hand side, of course, keeping tabs on what the city has coming forward in the future. That can be important. Page 2 shows of that first packet there shows principal payments only of this sample city. I believe it may actually be Huxley's information that's in there right now, but just outlining the principal payments only on the debt allows us to follow and track along to the right-hand side, tracking the amount of debt capacity being utilized and the amount of debt capacity remaining. That obviously helps with planning future projects, making sure there's ample debt capacity remaining for the city's future projects. Page 3 is kind of where the rubber meets the road as far as the debt levy goes. It shows the principal and interest payments, which you can track along toward the right-hand side against the taxable valuation, giving us a debt service levy over on the right-hand side. There's a column there about 2/3 of the way over that says less abatements. That would be other sources of revenue that are not property taxes that are going in to pay on general obligation debt. In this case, we don't have any abatements plugged in there. But in the event there's, local option sales tax, road use tax, water utility revenue, sewer utility revenue, et cetera. We can plug that in as we go through our planning process. The next page shows just the interest rates of the debt. And then page 5 shows interest payments only, which helps Barb a lot at the time of the year that we're in right now with preparing the budget. That could be helpful to have that information laid out. Page 6, again, this is all blank, but it would show the abatements that feed into that one column on the principal and interest page. And that kind of shows our work as far as where those various abatements are coming from to pay off various debt issues. Page 7 is kind of the keystone of the whole modeling system that we have. And it's our capital improvement plan funding model. Essentially, we can take your capital improvement plan, plug in the city's objectives, rank priority of various projects, and then we're able to work with city staff to say, based on the mix of available cash the city has, future revenues the city has, debt capacity and potential financing, how can we achieve the objectives and the projects that are most important to the city? So that allows us to kind of back into a financial plan for your various capital projects. Page 8 shows the cash flow page that we would create for all of your various revenue streams. We track the cash balance over on the right-hand side, and that allows us to, over time, over a period of time, track and forecast where the cash balances might be. If we're anticipating a big growth in cash balance, we can make a plan to use that for a pay-as-you-go type project in the future at some point, or ramp that up to be able to abate the debt service levy. And we would create that page essentially for, local option sales tax, road use tax, hotel, motel, whatever sources of cash flow or revenue the city might have. The rest of those pages, I believe, just outline revenue debt. And then the last page is just a sample TIF cash flow, which we could prepare for any of the city's various TIF districts. Pause there and see if anyone has any questions about that portion of things. Okay. The other packet there, this is a packet of sample work that I produced for the city of Avoca. Pro forma operating statements for their water and sewer and stormwater utilities. Pretty straightforward analysis, looking at historic revenues versus expenses, various cash flow after debt to be able to track their cash balances over time. But really making sure that we're meeting those debt service coverage numbers on any outstanding debt, and then projecting forward using that historic data, looking at where rates are at, and if projecting forward, if we need to do any rate increases, we can use this model to project forward any rate increases that might be needed to make debt service, or in the event that we're not operating in the black, to make those adjustments as needed.
You might just mention some of the cities that you currently represent. I know that just so council's aware, when I moved back to Iowa in 21, we were looking for a new firm, and I reached out to some of my colleagues, and I know that Nate's worked with Mark Jackson for a long time up in Story City. I visited with Mark and a few other folks that have visited or that worked with Nate, and actually Nate came to work for us in West Liberty prior to my leaving there to come here to Huxley. So, but you might just mention some of the other.
Yeah, stayed busy
communities.
with Story City and West Liberty. I've worked with Madrid in the past. Also do some county works. I've worked with Warren County, Missouri Valley, a lot of stuff out west, Missouri Valley, Woodbury County, actually, where Sioux City is as well. So off the top of my head.
It looks like your firm's located, you've got a number of national locations here.
Sure.
One of the things I've appreciated with previous consulting services, financial consulting services that the city is engaged in, or engaged with, is we've had the same rep, the same face of the company speaking to us. Is that how your firm operates?
Yeah, you get me.
Okay.
I live in West Des Moines, and I have an office in West Des Moines. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. Born and raised in, or not born in Iowa, but raised in Iowa. So yeah. In fact, I'm the only public finance associate in Iowa for UMB. So.
Okay. So we will see you.
You have no choice.
Not a problem.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Any additional questions, comments from council members?
The only comment I would add is I recently met Nate in a situation with other folks that have done business with him, and they really seemed very positive, and the relationship seemed very strong in that scenario. So I've seen and talked to some of the folks he's represented, and not saying the other one was bad, but definitely comes with good marks for my experiences and what I've seen. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything final to add, sir?
So,
All right. I appreciate your comments this evening.
thank you all. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Item 8.2 on the work session agenda tonight is discussion regarding the proposed ordinance pertaining to portable storage containers. David? Or I'm sorry. Aaron.
I'm gonna let Erin speak to
Okay.
this. She's the one that crafted the ordinance for us.
Yeah. Good evening. So what you have in front of you tonight is a draft ordinance. This has been through P and Z a couple of times now. The first pass, they received a packet of different similar types of ordinances from a number of different communities that Dave had compiled. We spent probably close to an hour going through what pieces that they liked. They definitely targeted, they wanted to have some restrictions in residential, restrictions in commercial, and then wanted to keep it open-ended for industrial zoned areas of the city. And so I took their feedback from that first meeting, came back with this draft ordinance, and they heard this last week. And we had a couple of minor revisions, but this is what P and Z is recommending. So just to walk through quickly what it is, you will see in here for residential districts, they are recommending that there are not allowed in residential districts. You will see at the top of the second page of the ordinance, they did want to have an exception for pods. So they looked at what the normal size pods that you can rent are and found them to be 150 square feet or less. So they've got an exception in there to allow for pods for 14 days on residential properties. So that's where we came up with the square footage there. The next section is with regard to commercial. And again, the recommendation is that the storage pods not be allowed, or the storage containers not be allowed in commercial districts. There is in 2 there an exception for deliveries. So they can sit there for 10 days. If they've got deliveries of merchandise or things coming in, they would have 10 days in which to receive those goods. In 125.05, the recommendation is not to have restrictions in industrial. We went back and forth on this in P and Z. I think for now, they said, let's try to get something implemented in those areas of town that we're most concerned with. And then if we have issues in the future with industrial, we can address those at a later date. 125.06 is talking about the use of these storage containers during construction periods. And so they would be allowed if somebody wanted to use it for an office or storage of materials during a phase of construction or remodel, they would be allowed for a certain period of time here. So, and then have to be removed either prior, if it's a new build, prior to the occupancy permit being issued. And if it's a remodel, 10 days after that final building inspection is done. There's a section in here then about what would be required if you do need a permit. So those instances where it'd be allowed with a permit. And then just some general requirements for all storage containers within the zoning districts. So that's an overview. If there's questions, happy to address those.
Aaron, if I could just ask one question, on 125.07, permit required. Number 1 says where a building permit is required. Is there an instance where it would not be required? I suppose that'd be the temporary things. And I guess I don't want to lead somebody to believe that a permit might not be required.
Yep. Those would be allowed for, they would not need it for the pods. So if you look in the residential under 3A, for the normal size 150 square feet or less pods, you would not need to have a permit for that.
Or the construction, during construction of a home or a remodel.
Correct.
Those might also fall
Let me
into
double
that.
check on that. Correct. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, that makes sense then.
I got a real quick question here. Can somebody explain to me the difference between a portable storage container and a portable shed? So if I take right now, you can put any piece of junk you want as a portable shed in your yard because it's a shed, but we are banning the looks of a portable container. I think the semantics of that is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that from the standpoint of how the building code addresses that. So a shed, whether it's portable in nature or you build it yourself out of 2x4s, it's built prescriptively out of the IRC, the Huxley Building Code, International Residential Code. So it prescriptively tells you how to build that. Again, whether it's you can buy them portable from big box stores or there's some vendors that do that, but they build it per the building code. A metal overseas shipping container or storage container, that's not a prescriptively built thing. So from the building official standpoint, they can very easily differentiate between the two. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I would think that a container would be much more structurally sound than a Menard storage building. Am I incorrect?
Oh, I think it's certainly possible. Overseas containers got to withstand going across the ocean, right, on a big boat and whatever that entails.
And then putting on the back of the semi and bouncing down the highway. I'd like to see you get out Huxley with one of the Menard sheds on the back end of your truck.
Certainly they are sturdy. There's just not a prescriptive way to build those out of the code. And that's not to say one's better than the other or inferior, whatever that might be. It's just that's how the building code official can differentiate the two. And I think that aligns with the definitions and the intent.
So our whole point in this is because of the semantics of one is building code and one is not. Or is it something else that's driving this? So what's driving the?
So I was a little disappointed with the ordinance way it came out because I agree with you, John, that the container would be a lot more structurally sound. But I was looking for something that we could have if they used a container, that it had to be secured and it had to have some kind of maybe a siding that was aesthetically good, and then some kind of a roofing. So I was looking for something like that. And then I also want to bring up an issue that I was approached by one of the citizens who has containers on his property now, before the moratorium, and was wondering, is he grandfathered in on this, or because we've issued one permit since then or before then, and then we're allowing one person on 69 to continue to have their property. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions that I have about this, and I don't want to pass an ordinance that just bans it completely.
Yeah, so to answer your second question, it was the language of the ordinance was drafted in such a way that it would not, they would be grandfathered in, they would not have to come into compliance. So I intentionally left out, you will see in some of the ordinances from other communities where they do require them to come into compliance within a certain number of years. We did not include that in this proposal.
So correct, just so I understand this. So if they had the structures before the moratorium, they would be grandfathered in.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's even with or without a permit.
Just as is, without a permit.
Aaron, could you talk to Mr. Etcher's first point there? He indicated about maybe he'd like to see something with a certain type of siding. I believe the state legislature changed our ability to regulate a lot of that in the last year or two.
Yeah, so the state legislation was with regards to the ADUs in particular, and we've addressed that. And so certainly we couldn't do anything. If aesthetics is the issue, I think you could send it back to P&Z with some direction on that to say, I'm less worried about the actual structure itself, but how it looks in our community. That really wasn't even a topic of conversation for P&Z. It was just, let's address the shipping containers that we are starting to see in other communities.
When this first came up with the first moratorium that came about, when Dave said we were thinking about doing that, I have a large 1 acre lot, and I've kind of wanted one. I wanted to put one out there, so I personally don't see any problems with them. I'm all in favor of. I've seen these sheds made out of milk cartons, these plastic ones that blow around and blow over. And, I spent part of the time this weekend driving around the community here, and I see wooden sheds that are in disrepair and crap stacked up beside them that would look worse, in my opinion, than a shipping container, especially the ones that we see. So yeah, that's for me is like, where's this coming from? I don't know. The ones that are in town, I've seen them, they're painted, they match the house, and I have no problem with them. I know people who live in houses that are made from shipping containers, and they're fun, and they look great. And they were actually on the Home and Garden TV, the construction of that house, and I've been in it and explored it, and I really like the looks of them. So I think some of that aesthetics and appearance is a personal preference for some. So I really don't want any code against them. That's where I stand with them, because I think they're stronger, it's more structurally relevant than a lot of these plastic things that you can get at Sam's Club or wherever else. That's they're made out of milk cartons and they fall down. And even if you put a wood structural one, they fall apart fast, right? And not all of them are built to the standard maybe that will withstand for 20 or 40 years that they're out there for. So I'm not in favor of having any code about it.
Okay, appreciate those comments. And this is a work session, so it's the appropriate time to kind of give staff some direction here. So what other comments does council have?
If we went ahead with this or didn't go ahead with it, either way, would a storage container have to meet the same criteria as a storage shed when it goes in?
Yes, from a building permitting standpoint, the construction pieces would be the same. Zoning setbacks would be the same. So.
So for instance, after a certain size, it must be on concrete and those kind of things. So a storage container, because of the size, I would assume that the size of them would require concrete underneath them.
Maybe, maybe not. You could do a rock base potentially, an appropriate rock base. You do need to provide means to keep them from overturning. So the wind load on those can be significant or is significant. So some type of anchorage, often that's accomplished by concrete, but there's other methods for sure.
So in essence, we'd be following the same code as codes for sheds right now.
Yes, that would be my interpretation, yes.
And do we have anything in the code now for sheds for ugliness? Is there an ugliness clause?
I don't think that's currently in there.
Well, there's nuisance.
Oh, there
So
you
I
go.
guess it depends on your definition of nuisance.
I do think we need to look at, because there are some of the containers that are, I mean, some are nice painted and so forth, but I've seen some that are graffitied and rusty and so I do think if we pass something, but and that's why I said the aesthetics of, well kept, and that'd probably be under the nuisance, ordinance. But I do think we need some kind of control there, because I mean, I wouldn't want something that's all rusted out and as my neighbor.
And I've seen a lot of sheds with holes in them and graffitied and
But we have a nuisance ordinance that
moss
should be
growing on the
enforced.
sides and blue tarps over the roof, right? And so I agree with you. I would love for them to all look good. That's a good neighbor to do that, but we don't have that currently for our current shed, so.
Well, we do. We have a nuisance ordinance.
Yeah, so
and
maybe
it just has to be enforced.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
I was just gonna ask for clarification on I just don't know off the top of my head, the containers allowed in industrial areas for use in conformance with the current permitted zoning uses. Was there talk or discussion about what we're anticipating as use in the industrial areas? Cause I think it says semi-permanent or permanent. I feel like I understand the semi-permanent, but if it was going to permanently be there, maybe I'd feel differently about it.
Yeah, there was actually very little discussion about the industrial, so we wanted to make sure that we just weren't changing anything that already exists as a requirement in the code. But beyond that, P and Z didn't have comments on industrial.
What's your definition of permanent?
Footings. Oh,
That's actually kind of my question is when I see the word permanent versus semi-permanent, and then we're defining use above it, that's where I'm kind of questioning what the intent behind that structure is on that location. But I'm also with Rory that I guess I do have some concerns on the residential side, which it sounds like there's not consensus. I don't want to speak for the mayor as far as exactly how it's worded right now, but I wouldn't want a rusty graffitied one next to me, but.
So the footings,
Nice
would that
one.
actually be like, if you set up, pillars, say every 4 to 6 feet, and then set that on the pillars, would that be considered footings?
I mean, I would consider that to be footings.
Okay.
And I think under your current code, it depends on the size and the actual structure that you're putting in.
Right.
So the intent of that language is not to adjust anything that already lives in your code. It's just to say, if it requires it to be permanent or semi-permanent, we're not adjusting it with this. We can even like water that down even more to make that clear, but sounds like there's plenty of other revisions we want to look at.
So let's just kind of ballpark this too, is what about if somebody takes the wheels off a semi-trailer or so forth and uses a semi-trailer?
I've seen some vehicles with wheels off in their yards too. Does that count?
That's solid waste ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so again,
It's junk vehicle.
but like,
Right.
if you use a semi trailer, which is pretty much similar to a cargo storage unit, they're not built as well. But if somebody does that, or
So that would be a licensed trailer though, that I think would go into the junk vehicle aspect of it.
okay,
I agree.
It
It says converted trailers in there, to his point.
prohibited or allowed.
allowed in the industrial area.
Universal, that was, that's the portion, but.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that I've seen a semi trailer deconstructed. I can appreciate what you're saying there, but I have seen like a Pepsi truck where with the roll up doors, I've seen those taken off the chassis and used as storage, not in town, but other places. So that it does occur. It's a fair question.
I mean,
Bus bodies.
we're in a ballpark, session. It's like, I guarantee you somebody's gonna come up with an idea and we're gonna have an ordinance.
I've been watching a lot of those, what is it, antique roadshows or whatever those guys,
You got a lot of
go,
tools on your-
go around and look at those and I see a lot of the antiques. And if we don't allow, abandoned semi trailers to store stuff, where are we gonna find stuff in 30 years?
Your house.
Again, I think the problems with rusty or graffitied and all that stuff, that to me can all be addressed through nuisance ordinances and things like that. As far as the appearance and aesthetics of them, in my opinion, that's subjective. So, I don't want to rule something out just because of a subjective appearance thought. I personally believe they're built better than those milk carton ones that you get at the box stores. And they're gonna stand the test of time. They're not gonna tip over. And so I don't want to be restrictive with our codes to not allow people to have that but that's my opinion.
In this current draft, I think 1 and 2 are talking about that style of storage container, like a rail style container, but number 3 to me is the one that opens it up a lot more, where it references trucks, vans, trailers, mobile homes.
So what you're saying.
I would
is-
say strike 3, if you wanted to be inclusive of the rail car for portable storage container, or am I reading that right, Aaron, under 12502 and then point number 3? I'm reading it as these are defined as portable storage containers and those vehicles would be.
Yep,
Which-
correct.
I don't think any of us up here have been talking about those that way.
No, I don't want a rail car.
Yeah, or a car or a van or a truck.
Well,
that's
just a
been
few
converted.
months ago, we were really close to having a rail car in our park. So now we're talking about
House,
it
though.
differently and, yeah, so.
Well,
Am
if
I-
it was painted nice, we'd have it.
Okay, no graffiti.
And we could probably, I mean, if that ends up being the direction we want to go, I think we could work with that language in 12502 sub 3 and make sure it's clear on the news or on the junk vehicle side that those are not allowed even if deconstructed, intentionally deconstructed.
Or if we put a big X over it, we don't have to worry about that subsection, right? And not.
That would be
pass
my
something.
opinion, is I don't like number 3.
I meant over the whole thing.
I don't like the inclusion of 3.
Can you come to the microphone or?
But the building to the, they require tie down one for two. Those smaller sheds would have to have tie down.
Correct, every shed still requires tie downs of some.
Tie downs of some sort. So it could be like a mobile home tie down. I mean, like those work for mobile homes are roughly the same size. So.
And a lot, someone put a bunch of down in store stuff, I just want to make sure that's not ground too, so we're still not, don't file, that's just showing up in the lot. I just want to make sure that might be something one thing, so I have a lot, I have storage unit, that's almost placed on my storage, I don't even know what's there, so.
Some province in the backyard, that's one thing. Walk out, but, start showing, I don't think that stuff.
So one other thing you probably should look at too is what if somebody wants to stack them? Say stack 2 high, 3 high, and two deep.
You certainly can. Your zoning ordinance is going to become restrictive pretty quick. I don't know what our height limitation is for a shed, but
I don't off the top of my head either, but we did have conversation about that at P&Z, and they did not want to restrict stacking because they were only allowing them in the industrial district.
So is there anything in our code that would disallow them for homes or anything like that?
No. In fact, you have a code section that we did this fall that specifically allows them.
So you can build your house out of them, but you can't build a shed to go with your house.
You got it.
Hmm.
You gotta build a house to store your lawnmower. So you can stay in the shed.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to the drawing board.
That makes for good entertainment.
so I don't know that I've got a good pulse on council here. The current ordinance, aside from the grandfather ones, would restrict, prohibit, for the most part, them in any new residential applications. Is that still the general direction council wants to move or no? I mean, we can massage this further if that is the case, but if there's not an appetite to restrict these in residential areas, then I guess we don't need to be going through this. Ms. Roberts, what's your general thought?
I don't know that I want to restrict them, but I do want some, I don't want a bunch of, I don't want a fort built around a yard, right? Like, I want something.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Etcher?
And I'm the same way as Tracy. I know I'm using the aesthetic, but I just, yeah. I think like John and Greg, you said, it's like they're sturdy and they would deal with more weather and other stuff than a normal building code. But I'm just worried that I just don't want,
Build a fence around it.
yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't actually have a problem as much with the shipping containers. For me, it's the bus bodies, the recreational vehicles that I'd still be interested in them drafting something prohibiting portable storage containers, restricting old rail cars and buses. And I don't see that the same way that I see the storage containers.
Mr. Mulder?
I think I was clear.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the rail cars, van cars, that kind of stuff?
Rail cars and that stuff, I look at those as the same as abandoned vehicles or things like that we should take care of them, whether they're nooses or abandoned vehicle, whatever you call them. I think that's it. I just don't want to be restrictive on, maybe some, and I've seen some junky looking sheds and I've seen some good looking sheds. I don't want to be restrictive on what they make it out of.
Fair enough. Mr. Murphy, general direction here?
Yeah, I think general direction, I agree. I don't want buses and junk. I mean, there's a difference between junk. I don't know that I want to be the pretty police to run around and say what's pretty and what's not. I guess that's Nate's job, not mine, but still at the same token, I think we can address the stacking and stuff with standard code. I mean, we got height on that. I think we also got certain height. You got setbacks and stuff that would keep it from really going around the entire yard. If you put them end to end, I think we could get them on the fencing ordinance. Because it would turn into a fence at that point. So I think there's other ways to look at it. I don't mind getting rid of the junk. I just don't want to be police on a shed.
Okay, so it sounds like, if I'm reading this correctly, that there's some general interest in allowing these in residential districts with some considerations potentially. Certainly no rail cars, van cars, those types of things. So that language is still important to the ordinance, but maybe look to redraft the appropriate ordinance, whether it's this one or it's the zoning ordinance to maybe better address overseas containers. Specifically looking at height, maybe quantity, maybe limit sheds to one per parcel, one per property. Is that a reasonable? Does anybody, I don't know if there's a limit on,
Number of outbuildings, I thought there was a number.
is there?
Size. I think there is a number wants to be added. Okay.
I just don't know how to tell somebody you can live in it, but you can't put your lawnmower. That's a tough argument. If it's good enough to live in, then it should be good enough as a shed, shouldn't it?
Well, yes and no. So to live in it, you're going to put a frost protected foundation underneath it. You're going to spend many thousands of dollars on the foundation. You're going to have to run electricity to it, plumbing to it. You're going to invest tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So I think the one that just drops off the truck into your grass is much different than the one you live in terms of how much you've invested. But your point's taken. It's still the same base structure. Could be the same aesthetics. Probably not. I hope not if you're living in it, but it could be. So.
You get yours built, call us.
All right.
Everyone wants to see it.
So
I'll have it there tomorrow.
does anybody disagree that I'm interpreting this correctly, that council wishes to generally allow overseas containers on residential properties, but wants some clarification to prohibit junkiness if possible?
If allowed, I think, it'd be the same as any shed permit or something like that. Tell us what you're putting out there and what size it is and, that along there, we can say, don't make it look like a pile of rust and graffiti, right?
Okay, well, I think my direction to staff then would be to, I think what's drafted is important in that it includes the rail cars and that kind of stuff. So I think council liked that language. So if we need that language here to prohibit those, it's not contained elsewhere in our ordinances, then that's important to continue moving forward with. But outside of that, I guess I would look for staff to come back with any other concerns on shipping containers that maybe council hasn't thought of or it's not properly addressed in our ordinances, whether that's height, quantity, foundations, aesthetics, whatever that might be. Come back at a future meeting and we can discuss that. So is that good enough on that topic? All righty. Appreciate council's thoughtful discussion on that. Moving along this evening, item 8.3, discussion regarding a brush truck. Chief Woodbeck. Travis.
Okay. So in the past few weeks, we've had issues with our continuing issues, I'll say, with our truck number 606, our brush truck. Since I've been here for 5 years, we put a lot of money in that thing, continuously. Now it's to the point now where it needs cylinder heads at a minimum. That's a $20,000 bill. There's things on the pump that don't work properly. It's not a good truck for grass fires, which it's intended for it because it's got dual rear wheels. And when you go in somewhere and it gets muddy, you're stuck. So there's a lot of reasons why I don't want to dump a bunch of money into it.
I mean, to cut you off, Travis, can you generally describe this truck to council?
Yep.
So like a 1-ton truck.
The truck that we have now, it's a 2002 F450. It's a dually, single cab dually. It's got 400 gallons of water on it and pump reel. It does have foam on it, which we don't use very much. So you're kind of limited when you get to, let's say when you get to a scene, what happens with this truck is somebody's usually riding in the passenger seat holding a hose out the window. Not the safest thing in that kind of a deal because the fire could be coming this way and you're just in a bad spot. Another thing with it is it's not, like I said, it's not very good for wet areas, which you're going into normally. If there's a fire, you're putting water on it, you're gonna get stuck. We've done that a lot in the last 5 years that I know of. Right now, it's like I said, it's got some cylinder head issues, but that's the minimum. We don't know if it's gonna be deeper when we get into it.
And that was a $20,000 quote to fix that. I know we've put multiple turbos on it. We've rebuilt the EGR a few times and it just keeps snowballing and snowballing. Right now it's out of service, so we don't have a brush truck in service right now. So it's an immediate need. So we had, a couple weeks ago, some grass fires, and the way things have been going, you've seen them all over the state. We're having a lot of issues with them right now. So we need to get something in place quickly. We went out and did some looking and comparisons. Kind of give you guys some of this information. Yeah. Pretty similar trucks that have the same. So out of those 5 options, I do have a couple of the more detailed ones I can show you too, but of those 5 options, if you look at the costs, they're kind of all in that 200 to 240 range. The lead time is the issue, 13 months, 2 to 3 months, 6 to 8 months, and another 6 months or immediately. We did have the immediate truck here last week for a demo. Basically that was built as a demo. They took it to some fire schools and, that one would be available as soon as March, not the 6th, must be the 13th, I believe. It meets all the needs that we're looking for. It's F550, it's gas. We don't want to go with diesel again because we've had a lot of issues with those in the smaller trucks. It's a custom built truck. I'll show you pictures here in a minute. It is a 400 gallon. It's got a 23 horsepower pump, which is plenty. The mounts for the winch are included. It just doesn't have a winch with it, which I think our association would probably pay for that. It does have ground sweeps in the front, 150-foot hose reel. It has the super single tires instead of the duals, so it's a lot better on working ground, whether it's in ditches or outside in fields. It has a catwalk on the back, which I'll show you a picture of here. Sorry, I've only got 2 of these printed out because my printer ran on me. Get this open. So it has considered a catwalk in the back. It's got doors on each side that open in where they don't open out. So basically, there's 2 water outlets on the top of it, one on each side. So in a field fire situation, you can ride up there, straight water on both sides. Yeah, one right there. And then you can see how it's got the big super single tires down there. Our rescue truck has. They're wider and they're taller for ground lanes. So basically, those are the needs that we were looking at. Those are the options we were looking for. I guess my question to you guys is, with this being an immediate need, how do we request moving forward with something like this? We have in our reserve account, we've have over double, I think, what this would cost at least.
As of the end of January, there was $527,000 in the reserve account. There was another 57,000 put in February from a donation. But again, that's just that much less that you would have towards is it the pumpers, the next one, or the ladder truck?
Ladder truck, yeah, would be in about 4 years probably.
Have you talked in it, or, we had talked briefly about the townships, because this really is geared more for work out in the county. Did you have an opportunity yet to speak to the townships to see if they had any money that they could, kick something in towards it? I mean,
I have not. I know where I came from before, like I mentioned to you.
Mhm.
Any purchase that was used rural and city was a 60-40 split with the townships. If they could do that, that'd be amazing. I don't know if they can. Do we know the representatives that we can reach out to? Okay. So I think that'd be the next step, is to reach out to them. But I just want to know, if we reach out to them, they're willing to put into it too. I mean, how soon, or how do we go about trying to get this?
Did we just get the one bid on the engine repair?
Yeah,
Was that with Buds?
no, it was Midwest Diesel in Ames.
Okay.
Have you looked into like side by side type thing with a smaller tank on it that you could bring the water out and refill it? I only ask that because at one of our farms, we recently had a grass fire. And that's what the local fire department brought out, was a side by side, it's like a 200-gallon tank or 100-gallon tank, whatever it was in there.
So we currently have one of those at our station.
And I mean, those are much cheaper on the grand scale of things.
Yes, but they hold a lot smaller quantity of water. So if you get back in the wooded areas and you're like out at, trying to think of the name of it out here, northeast of town, we had a fire back in the woods up there. And to go all the way back in there and then try to come out and put water back in at a 100-gallon tank is not very feasible because these things move fast.
No, I understand that.
But we do have that, and that wasn't even purchased by the city. That was purchased by our association through donations.
I was just wondering, it seems to me like you could have 2 or 3 of them for half the cost, not even half the cost. And would that be more effective of what you're doing than buying a truck that just sits there most of the time? And it's like any vehicle, as long as it's sitting, it's falling apart. I mean, them things are made to be running, and if you're not using them daily, the maintenance on them things are ungodly high.
Yep.
I had just questioned, Travis, I don't know.
Yeah, in my opinion, we have 906, which is a side by side that we use. We bought our rescue truck 3 years ago, I think it was. That does have 150 gallons of water on it. It's ultra high pressure, but I can tell you from the call out southeast of Cambridge that it's not built for that. So that's specialized to haul extrication equipment and fire equipment. And the way the body sits in the back, it actually got hit coming up out of a ditch and it's gonna need repair. So that's another reason why, I mean, that's good for extrication because you have water there. You have to have water on an extrication call. But as far as brush fires, you need a dedicated truck.
Travis, you've expressed the immediate need, so
Yep.
I was just looking at the specs between them.
Yep.
If we had the 6 months, it looks like I was just throwing some plus minuses in here.
Okay.
For the ones, with the winch, that's the only one with the catwalk. If we weren't in immediate need, would this spec out the way that you guys would want it?
Yes.
Or there are a few other options. It looks like a few of the other ones have. I was just curious, like, is it something we could
Such
push?
as what option other than the winch?
Yeah, I was gonna say the winch was on there, and then cab wise, yeah, the bigger cab.
It's crew cab, but again, on a scene like that, you want a shorter wheelbase.
Okay.
Because you are going through ditches, you're going through ravines, you're doing that kind of thing. So we have storage. We could put air packs, spare bottles and stuff like that in the back seat of this, but it's not as big as a quad cab.
Yeah, and I, to be clear, I was not questioning that you
Yeah, no, I'm just
need
trying to
better than
explain.
me. I just wanted to make sure that it sounds like you guys have it in the budget, so I would be supportive of it. I just also am hoping that we get the truck that we want,
Yeah.
not just because it's available, but because.
Yeah, that's why we brought it over for demo. The compartmentation is extreme and there's a lot of compartments in the side. They sit up higher. With the extended cab, you have the storage in the back, like I just mentioned for SCBA's bottles. It also has it's not shown on the spec list. It has the option. Pump for nozzle. So basically what it is there could be a nozzle that raises up, you control from inside the cab. You don't believe out and harm's way here, the fire like that. So it's all plumbed in there, it's just a matter of, we would probably purchase that. Through the association partially.
So I do think we need to explore the townships and their contribution. I do think we need other estimates on the repair of this vehicle.
The problem with the estimate on the ad is we're not gonna know exactly until it's torn apart.
Yeah, I know that,
So if we pull the heads off it and they say now the block or.
but we're not, the vehicle's gonna be sitting there and we can't even sell it unless we know what the problem is.
We could sell it as is.
Yeah, and we're not gonna get anything. It's,
I wouldn't get much if we put $25,000 or $30,000 into it either, any much more.
but we could have a running vehicle that still be used.
Okay.
I just think we need estimates. I mean, any other time we're asking for 3 estimates, correct?
Yeah, I think you're correct on that, Mr. Etcher, and that's generally our purchasing policy is 3 estimates. I think part of the difficulty here is the fact that you got to tow it from place to place, I imagine, to get an estimate, and it's probably not a cheap tow. I don't know about how those things work, but we might spend $3,000 towing to get estimates is my concern.
Yeah. It's possible.
So we're gonna spend 215,000?
Yeah, you do.
And
So,
we're- and
so
we're-
we gotta look at the budget coming up too. I mean, your guys' request for a budget, the new hoses and other things, is quite a bit on your budget, right?
Our budget is basically the same thing it's been last year. We didn't add to it. Hardly at all, right?
What was the first page?
Sorry that I missed part of that. So I sound like you had the money budgeted
We
for
do.
it already,
So
so,
it's not budgeted, it's in the reserve account.
yeah.
It would take a budget amendment if you approve it. You'd have to amend the budget prior to purchase, but there is money.
The operating budget, this year is 138,000 and the proposed budget for 27 is 550,000.
What is happening currently if the grass fire broke out right now as we're sitting at this meeting?
We take our side by side and then we call their towns.
I mean, I guess the reason for my question is, I am not a big fan of ever making a decision in haste. I mean, when I feel pressured to make a decision, that's generally the worst decisions I ever make in life.
Okay.
I would like to make sure that we get some questions answered. I'm not against.
What kind of questions would you like answered?
Well, okay, we've got, you bring that piece of paper and say, here's these 5 models, here's the time, but we need it right away. We don't have a full answer to what is wrong with the other.
Can I explain part of that? That truck is a 2002 model, okay?
I understand that. I also understand that we don't have a money factory here that we're pumping out money. I just want to make sure that when we're doing things that we've got thought in it.
We also, this is the first time this has came up. I mean, it just all of a sudden came up.
The motor we just had the issue like 3 weeks ago.
And then you talked about the pump hasn't been working and
Yeah.
so,
I'm
so
not trying to put a lot of money into this thing because we don't want to continue to dump money into something that's eventually gonna.
But my concern is it just showed up on my radar tonight.
Okay.
And not that I'm against it, it's just that it showed up and I'm not prepared to make an intelligent call on this.
What more information would you like, John?
Well, I guess as an accountant, I like to look at things, I like to have some time to sit down and analyze it.
Okay.
Maybe look at some options out there, think about questions that aren't asked. Hey, to hand me a piece of paper and say, okay, in 5 minutes, I have a life decision, can I spend $200,000? You're sounding like my kids. I just.
Now,
I'm in agreement with John on this one.
John.
Well, I'm sorry.
What
but
you just said.
Come in, you're very pushy about what's going on. I need a decision. I need it now. We can't wait. Can we have a decision?
Okay, so
And
what-
I'm ready to make that decision.
I understand that, but to call me your kids is a little unruly here.
so, and to be fair to Travis, this is merely a work session item tonight. There's no direction we can give Travis tonight to go write a check for $220,000. That's not, we can't do that tonight, like functionally we can't. So the opportunity here tonight is to provide feedback to Travis, ask questions. If there's additional information that we need or council needs, this is your opportunity to give him that direction so that when he does come back with a resolution here, likely in a couple of weeks, he can provide that information to us. I think seeking out some direction from the township, some financial assistance, as has been mentioned by a few people, I think that's critical. whether that's towards a one-time purchase or that's towards the annual budget on the per capita basis. I think there's some opportunities there, but I think those type of questions are great and helpful to Travis. So if there's some information that we're seeking, council's seeking, some further estimates, whatever that might be, we could provide that tonight, but we can't take action anyway, so.
Is this something that we could use a 28E agreement on with like Slater, Kelly, Cambridge? I mean, this vehicle would be used in all those areas.
And we do, just like they would come here, we go there.
So is that something
There
that
is
they would
28
contribute then?
degree.
Do they brush trucks too, or
What's that?
do they have brush trucks too, or whatever this,
Yep.
what do you call it, brush truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, every township or every town around here does.
So if dire, they would assist us, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So it doesn't have.
are they each in different townships? I should know that and I don't. Are Cambridge and Slater in different townships than
Lakers
Palestine?
and Palestine.
Okay, Slater's Palestine, but Cambridge is something else. Union, thank you.
So that's assisted. Most likely.
Yep. Any other questions or things you would like me to gather?
I assume in a typical brush fire, it takes multiple vehicles to,
Yep.
it's a wide swath kind of a.
So that
Situation.
one that ended up being a controlled fire was actually, they had half the county probably paged to that because it was that big. If that would have been, if they needed to put out, it would have taken probably the whole county. Seriously. It was big. I mean, dispatch had like 100 calls about it, so. And as dry as it's been, they spread quickly, and then it gets into a house, and then it gets into a barn, and it gets into that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, just clarification, or I guess asking for clarification. When I looked at the budget numbers we initially got, I think the only significant increases were hoses and turnout gear. You can probably speak if there's something else. So that to me didn't seem significant, but were there other items in your reserve that the money was being?
No, just eventually another truck that we need
The
to
ladder truck.
access 3-story buildings that are all over town, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm generally in support of letting departments determine how to use their reserve budget, and their budget from 25 to 26 to next year looks like it is not increased a significant amount. So that would be my take.
Thank you, Corey. That's exactly how I feel, honestly. Like you've been I've been here a long time. You guys always put your money away, when this day's coming, this day's here. Just because we just heard it didn't mean it wasn't already coming. So I'm not opposed to you looking at it. I do like the idea if the townships can contribute.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think they'll have any money, but they may.
Okay. Any additional comments, direction from council on this item?
Yeah, if use some of this probably slush fund for the next truck or something like that, we get to the.
Hates that word, don't you?
I'm sorry, not just reserve, equipment reserve dollars, right. Equipment reserve dollars, and we get to the point where we need this other ladder truck, then I'm assuming. I mean, it may have to move later and
Take another
it
year.
may take.
So a truck like that, just so you know, is about 4 years out. So.
So this might delay this a bit. Might delay that 4 years.
As far as the ladder truck, yes.
Yeah, may delay that 4 years even a little longer if we use some of the.
No, because it
Reserve.
wouldn't have to be paid for the 4 years.
If you order a new ladder truck, it's.
4 years to get it.
Oh, 4 years
That's
out.
what
I thought you weren't even gonna order this
Okay.
for 4
You
years.
order it today, it's 3.5 to 4 years till you get it.
Okay,
Yes.
so what are you're thinking 4 years from now you'd need one?
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, you start looking at the 3-story apartments out here. We have all these over here. It's not safe for us to put somebody on the roof on a 35-foot ladder, carrying a hose, things like that.
So have you ordered one?
Not yet.
Okay.
We've talked about it a little bit, but we need to get to that point.
So the timing of that you're thinking is,
In order to order it in the next few months, probably.
Okay, so we may have something in front of us again, and what's the price range of one of,
1.7 million.
so we don't have enough in our reserves necessarily for,
They go up
I
all the time.
just recently purchased a vehicle,
And going down. And part of that conversation will be during the budget conversation for public safety, which is next week or two.
Next Tuesday.
next week.
So CIP is part of that bigger conversation. So we'll flesh some of that out during
Yeah,
that. So
I just.
And just for an FYI for you, Travis, and for the council, we did put another $280,000 into a 3-month, where is it, 3.4% CD with those reserves. So we're putting them, 3 months is the best interest rates we can get right now. So we keep rolling those funds over to try to get as much interest as we can off of them.
So if we didn't have to, or didn't, move forward with this, we might have enough to pay for a third of the truck, that ladder truck, in a few months, but it seems like this one's broken pretty. Yeah.
And that truck would be replaced in the 1998 model. In 4 years, that's a pretty old truck.
Mhm.
NFPA standards are 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to talk about, and that's what the work sessions are for, but I saw a discussion regarding brush truck, and that's as much as I knew. I had no
Yeah.
idea on the reserves. I agree with John. I don't like making a decision in 2 seconds about
I agree.
a couple $100,000. That's like
But I don't like to be called
4 times,
child either, just so you
five
know.
times
But
as much my first house.
I did
Yeah.
print these out, but as you can see, I ran out of ink, so I could only make 2.
Yeah.
I had
you want to pass that down?
full intentions. I was gonna give them to everybody.
Actually, if you'd like, we can scan, we can print, scan.
Thank you.
That's the spectrum for that trend plus the presentation that we presented.
Okay.
In a PowerPoint.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is some,
Can I have one more thing?
oh, I'm sorry, Travis. I didn't mean to cut you
The
off.
reason that there was a little bit of urgency towards it is because that truck, that demo truck, can sell at any time unless we give them some sort of, can you hold it for a while? And if we don't, then we're out to the 6 to 8 months to 13 months, depending on what we can get. So,
But I also agree with Corey, if it's not spec'd out the way you want it, and you're just getting it because.
no, we've done our research, trust me.
Yeah. I don't know what the difference between the different pumps and everything else, that's your thing.
Yep.
not mine.
Yep.
So.
They are all similar as far as capacity, gallons per minute.
Is the
So-
current one just 2-wheel drive?
No, it's 4-wheel drive.
Is it 4-wheel?
Yeah, yeah. It's the dually wheels that
Yeah,
cause
yeah.
problems, yeah.
Okay,
That's, yeah, I'll,
And then send it to everybody.
I can send you.
I can just scan it.
or if you got the
Well,
native
that one
PDF,
doesn't scan
that'll,
very good
yeah.
Because
If
it's,
you want to send me, if you've got a good PDF.
yep, will do. I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, Travis, I think you've heard the conversation. There's some direction, some responses that would be helpful to council members. I'll ask that this be put on as a resolution at an upcoming council meeting here. Certainly don't order the truck yet until you have that final resolution, but you've heard the conversation, same as I have, so.
Okay.
Anything else on this item?
No, I just want to thank you because this is a volunteer position that you're doing. So appreciate that.
We all put a lot of work into this kind of stuff and then some things just tip you off a little bit.
All right, thank you very much, Travis. All right, with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Roberts. Thanks for the waiting. Second by Mr. Mulder. All those in favor, please respond to the aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will be meeting on Tuesday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.